Hello everyone, it's great to be with you this afternoon. My name is Dr. Shanice O'Mara and I'm your host for this afternoon. I'm originally a mechanical engineer myself, so I feel honoured to be part of this event that recognises and celebrates engineering talent beyond the UK. Before we begin, let me give you a tip for the best viewing experience of today's awards. I recommend that you go into full screen mode by clicking on the Maximise Screen icon, which you'll find at the bottom right-hand corner of this video. If you need to come out of the full screen mode, just click on the same icon again. We have a packed lineup for you today, but first, I'd like you to welcome Dr. Salem, CEO of the Royal Academy of Engineering, to tell us a little bit more about the Africa Prize.
Thank you so much, Shani, and we're delighted to have you as our MC for today's event. Distinguished guests, Africa Prize shortlist finalists and judges, a very warm welcome to you all. My name's Dr. Hayatan Sillam, and I'm the Chief Exec of the Royal Academy of Engineering. I'm really delighted to be here with you on this momentous occasion to celebrate the ingenuity, determination and excellence in engineering innovation that we have seen from this year's 16 Africa Prize entrepreneurs. I'm also delighted to welcome our speakers and guests who you're going to be hearing from during the event. Let me just say a few words about the Academy before we get going. The Royal Academy of Engineering is the UK's National Academy for Engineering, and we're focused on harnessing the power of engineering to build a sustainable society and an inclusive economy that works for everyone. We believe that engineers can help to solve some of the world's greatest challenges and make a real contribution to making the world a safer, fairer, and more sustainable place to live. Throughout this pandemic, we've witnessed how African innovators and entrepreneurs have made a huge difference in the fight against coronavirus, stepping up and stepping in to fill gaps in health systems and keep economies moving. Since the first infection was recorded in Nigeria at the end of February 2020, entrepreneurs have developed tools ranging from contact tracing apps in Kenya and Ghana to WhatsApp chatbots in South Africa, self-diagnostic tools in Angola. More than 120 health innovations were recorded by the World Health Organization in Africa in November 2020. And that's just one example of how engineers in Africa and beyond are helping to change the world we live in today. 7 years ago, the Academy launched the Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation to stimulate, celebrate and reward innovation and entrepreneurship across sub-Saharan Africa. It awards crucial commercialisation support to ambitious African innovators developing scalable engineering solutions to local challenges, demonstrating the importance of engineering in improving quality of life and enabling economic development. Over an 8-month period, we support innovators to gain the skills needed to create successful businesses in their communities and connect them to our fellows, mentors and technical experts so that they can contribute to transformation right across the continent and beyond. And the culmination of all of that is today's showcase, where a winner is selected to receive £25,000, along with 3 runners-up who each receive £10,000. But our collaboration does not end there. We believe that one innovator can change a community. A network can transform a continent. Today, we have a 100-strong alumni community, including this year's shortlist, who we connect to new opportunities, share knowledge with, and learn from. We're incredibly proud of the Africa Prize entrepreneurs and the contribution that their innovations are making to addressing global development challenges. So let's focus on this year. Each year we receive detailed business plans from hundreds of innovators across sub-Saharan Africa, and our esteemed judges have the very difficult task of selecting just 16 to receive 8 months of bespoke business training and mentoring. Pre-pandemic, the Africa Prize took us across the continent. We held residential training weeks in the beautiful cities of Cape Town and Kampala and flew our shortlist to London for flagship events at St James's Palace, no less, as well as our home at Prince Philip House for the Africa Prize Live. However, for this final event, we're doing things a little differently. The COVID-19 pandemic has been difficult in so many ways, but it's also provided us with that opportunity to reorientate the Africa Prize towards a more virtual online form of engagement. We've redesigned the training segments in today's final event for an online audience, and this year marks our first fully digital programme, providing intensive expert guidance and community support through a mixture of online group and one-on-one sessions. Throughout this period, we've been so impressed and really proud of the speed at which our group of fantastic entrepreneurs have adapted and embraced this new reality, as well as their continued commitment and personal resilience in the face of all that the pandemic has posed. It's undoubtedly presented significant shocks, but it's also provided them with new business opportunities. All of our shortlist have inspired us in their different ways, but none more so than the 4 finalists who you're about to hear from as they pitch their businesses to earn the coveted title of Africa Prize 2021 winner and to take home that winning prize of £25,000. You're also going to have the pleasure of hearing 1-minute pitches from 12 of the innovators on the shortlist. And this year, we have a new prize of £2,500, which you, the audience, will award later on by placing a vote for the 1-minute pitch that resonated with you most of all. The Africa Prize supports the brightest minds across Africa, equipping them with skills to reshape and rethink their businesses. Nurturing thriving commercial companies has a significant role in sustainable development, enabling entrepreneurs to create more jobs, generate better economic prospects, greater prosperity, and contributing, of course, to the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Africa Prize entrepreneurs are providing access to renewable energy, reducing food insecurity, improving maternal health outcomes, and enhancing financial and disability inclusion. The determination, the ambition, and the ability of our entrepreneurs to positively impact the lives of their communities, cities, and countries inspires us to continue our investment and our collaboration with them. We are generously supported by the UK Government's Global Challenges Research Fund and the Shell Centenary Scholarship Fund. Their support helps us to provide a platform for African innovation to build businesses not just for profit, but for purpose and well-being in the economies in which they operate. Since 2014, we've supported an active network of over 80 individuals and small teams from 16 countries across the continent. And as I noted earlier, this year we will be 100 strong in our prize community. Our alumni are creating incredible social impact at scale and are projected to improve the lives of more than 3 million people within the next 5 years. As of 2019, they had together raised over $14 million and created 1,500 jobs, over 50% of which were for women, and a significant proportion of those being filled by young people or those with a disability. The prize aims to accelerate these benefits on a local, national, and continent-wide level across Africa. I hope that you've had an opportunity to meet all 16 of these 16 amazing entrepreneurs that we're supporting this year at our virtual exhibition, and you'll be hearing from our 4 inspirational finalists very shortly. For now, thank you so much for joining us for what I am sure is going to be a remarkable afternoon. And with that, Shini, it's back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hayatan. Now let's hear from head judge Malcolm Brindid. Malcolm is a fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, chair of Engineering UK and past president of the Energy Institute. He served as a UK Prime Minister's business ambassador and was a trustee and chair of the Shell Foundation for 16 years. Malcolm was awarded a CBE in 2002. I'll let him tell you more about the Africa Prize judges and what makes a great winner for the Africa Prize itself. Over to you, Malcolm.
Thank you, Shini, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled you're all here for the Africa Prize 2021 final. My name is Malcolm Brindid, and I am the chair of the Africa Prize judging panel. I've been delighted and honoured to be an Africa Prize judge since the beginning in 2014, and I've watched the prize go from strength to strength with constant improvements to the training and support offered, and now providing new opportunities to further support our over 100 alumni. Every year, the Africa Prize grows. It moves beyond those countries with well-established entrepreneurial and engineering support systems, and we now receive entries from 25 countries. We were really delighted that this year's shortlist of 16 for the first time included entrepreneurs from Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, the Gambia, and Senegal. Because of the Academy's programme to encourage female entrants, every year we see an increased number. This focus has meant that this year we saw our most female strong shortlist, with 6 out of the 16 being women. All 16 on the shortlist received the 8 months of training and mentoring that Hayatan referred to, and they all will become part of our alumni support network. With an ever-increasing number of really good applications, being a judge gets ever more rewarding, but actually ever more difficult. Each year, we read amazingly varied applications, innovations spanning the whole breadth of engineering, from advanced software platforms to relatively low-tech but highly practical machinery, all looking to solve problems seen in the innovators community. All entries are technically reviewed, and then 6 judges together discuss, deliberate, sometimes passionately argue, and finally choose the Africa Prize shortlist of 16 for training and mentoring. Then 8 months later, in June, we had the even harder challenge of choosing the 4 finalists you'll see today. So what do we look for? Ideally, applications that have that special combination of high commercial potential, scalability, engineering innovation, and which could really help sub-Saharan African development. Plus, we want a lead applicant with entrepreneurial flair and the self-awareness to assemble the right team to help them succeed. It's a high bar, which all 16 you'll hear from today have passed. And as judges, we then love seeing the progress that the 16 shortlisted entrepreneurs make throughout the program. So thanks to the trainers at Viridian, the communications team April 6 and Proof, and the Academy network of volunteer mentors who support our entrepreneurs. And we've seen real growth in all these entrepreneurs' business understanding, technology maturity, and confidence. We've been seriously impressed by the ingenuity and their determination to build scalable businesses in what are fast-changing and complex markets. And on top of all that, their resilience to adapt their businesses during the pandemic. There can only be one winner of the Africa Prize 2021. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's not. All of these entrepreneurs are winners, and they should all feel incredibly proud of the milestones they've achieved. And we look forward to watching them all succeed over the next few years. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to my fellow judges. First, and I hope you can see on the screen, Rebecca Enonchong from Cameroon in the US, the founder and CEO of Apps Tech and IO Spaces, and a serial technology entrepreneur herself who is passionate about promoting technology in Africa. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you? Glad to be here. So excited.
Thanks, Rebecca. Next, Dr. Ibalola Amal from Nigeria in the UK, principal consultant of Lonadec Global Services. Ibalola is passionate about empowering, mentoring and coaching women and youth for positive transformation. Hi, Ibalola.
Hi, Malcolm. Glad to be here. Excited about today.
And next up is John Lazar from South Africa and the UK, chair of Enza Capital, What Three Words, and Raspberry Pi Foundation. John is a software engineer, angel investor, and business leader focused on technology and entrepreneurship to generate positive impact. Hi, John. We've been doing this a while.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we're delighted to have been joined by some new judges this year. Emma Wade-Smith, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa. Emma was last year's excellent moderator for the Fireside Chat and has been with us throughout the 2021 cycle to help select the shortlisted 16 and the final 4. Hi, Emma. Hope you can hear us.
I certainly can. It's great to be part of this today.
And finally, Maya Horgan Famadou from Nigeria in the US, who is the founder and MD at Ingressive Capital, a major VC fund, and co-founder of Ingressive for Good, a non-profit aiming to train 1 million African tech talents. Hi, Maya. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, and thank you for having me. Glad to be here as well.
Thank you, judges. I look forward to us choosing the Africa Prize winner all together. We know it's tough, but it's going to be fascinating. So good luck to our finalists, and I'm going to hand you back now to the event host, Shini Samara. Back to you, Shini.
Thank you, Malcolm. Great to meet you all. In the first half of the event, you'll hear from the 4 Africa Prize 2021 finalists. Each of those 4 finalists that you're about to meet will deliver a 5-minute pitch presentation. After their pitch has finished, we'll bring the finalists in for a Q&A session with the Africa Prize judges, led by Malcolm. If you want to ask any questions, please put them in the chat section below during the pitch or Q&A session. A moderator will be checking the questions and feeding them through, so you should see some of your questions answered by our finalists. An audience poll is now also open for you to select your favourite finalists. Your votes will be shared with the judges as they deliberate the winner. To cast your vote, go to the audience polls section below and select which of the 4 finalists you think deserves to win this year's Africa Prize. You can only vote once, so please use this vote wisely and wait until you have watched all 4 pitches. We're incredibly proud that for the first time ever, 3 of our finalists are women. What a fantastic feat for diversity in engineering. Just a reminder, don't forget you can share this event on your socials with the hashtag Africa Prize and at RAENG and then the word global. So that's at RAENG global. Now, let's hear from the Africa Prize 2021 finalists. First up for you today, we have Faith Adeshemowo from Social Lender, based in Nigeria. Social Lender makes it easy for people who are not ordinarily considered as financially reputable by banks and other institutions to access financial services. Instead of physical assets, people such as farmers, traders, artisans, young professionals, small business owners and students can borrow money against a social reputation score. Faith and her team developed a proprietary algorithm that performs a social audit of the person who wants to borrow money. In 10 minutes, this algorithm performs this social audit of users based on their mobile, social media and other online activity, and then assigns a social reputation score on a scale of 1 to 100. This digital fingerprint allows them to access credit, micro-insurance organisations, farm inputs and other services. Over the last 5 years, Social Lender has impacted the lives of more than 100,000 customers in Nigeria and South Africa. So let's hear from Faith.
Hi, my name is Faith Adeshemowo and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Social Lender. Over 50% adult Africans lack access to formal financial services. And in Nigeria alone, 30 million Nigerians fall into that category. What seems to be the problem here? Trust. Trust is the main issue. The financial institutions have a limited way of trusting these people. Records that can be leveraged correctly to analyze these individuals are hardly present. There's no credit history, and some people simply just have thin files. Again, the cost to serve these people, this demography of people, can be rather high. What we do know, though, is that millions of people are connected via mobile and the internet and live behind a digital fingerprint that can be harnessed into an asset. This is how Social Lender was born. So using our proprietary algorithm, we digitize people's connections and provide them with a social reputation score. This in itself is an alternative credit score. They can then connect to formal institutions that have been previously onboarded on the Social Lender platform. And we also provide or perform an end-to-end service. So what this means is that the partners just connect to the platform, or it's a plug and play kind of situation where they just connect to a platform and then everything else is done on the Social Lender platform. We're very excited about this, but that's not all of it. Today, we're also driving financial inclusion, and we're targeting users or customers who do not have smartphones. So using SMS and USSD, people can now connect on the Social Lender platform. Something very unique about Social Lender is some features that we call the social guarantor features and the social referee features. Here, people are standing as digital surety in the event that someone wants to be able to get a credit service on that platform. A referee is just someone who is not liable, but the person just says, well, I know this person and this person is good for whatever service you want to give to him or her. For us, it is very, very exciting. Today, again, I'd like to be able to also share with you how we go about making money on the platform. For us, our licensing model and our transaction charge is something that we believe has worked for us. We also take a profit share interest income in the event that some of that is operating on the platform. For us, Excitingly is the fact that we've been able to generate revenue of over $395,000. And more importantly, we've impacted over 120,000 users. With our partners on the platform, commercial banks, we have also micro insurance companies and agri-input partners on the platform today. All we're trying to do is impact lives. We have also been able to do impact people who are unbanked individuals, underserved people like smallholder farmers, nano businesses with the provision of access to farm inputs, microinsurance, credit, and financial literacy. On our team today is Moody, who is our COO with his expertise in business. There's also Buddy, who is CTO and co-founder with over 15 years experience in technology. These guys are the most amazing people. They're all the members of our team here that I haven't been able to display, and I look forward to you meeting them one of these days. For us, again, we have an amazing advisory board and mentors and partners who've helped us on this journey. And we are excited about the amount of work they've put in this business with us. We've also been supported by people like the institution where we have developed our businesses and our solutions over and over again. As our next steps, we would like to be able to impact 1 million users, and we're looking to raise $1 million to help us drive expansion, improve technology, infrastructure, and create strong brand recall. We're looking to be able to add on more partners as well as increase our product offerings. I'm Faith Adeshemo, and I enjoin you to please join us as we build a network for trust, for access, and much more. Thank you.
Faith, thanks for that great presentation. Now it's to the questions, and I'm going to start the ball rolling on this one. So Faith, there's loads of competition in the space you target. So what gives you the confidence that your business is going to be the one to succeed? Faith, I can't hear you. I think you might be muted.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you so much, Malcolm. So one of the things that we see as very unique about us is the fact that we've been doing this a while. When we started this, everybody else thought that we might be a bit loony, and so that the years of expertise is really something that we know will help us with competition. But beyond that, we've also been able to diversify our offerings. So essentially, what we're trying to do is be the Experian of today with alternative credit scoring. And I believe strongly that most of the offerings that we've been able to gather have been geared to specifically address needs. And so because we have a strong understanding of that need market, I believe that it will be very difficult for people to just come onto the platform, just come into the ecosystem and try to compete with us or try to do exactly what we do. We're doing it in a unique manner. Something else that is very unique about us is the fact that we deliver financial literacy. So our end users are people who really need us. It's not a very glamorous market. It's not a market that people are too enthusiastic about attacking, but it's something that we're very passionate about.
That's a good answer, Faith. Thank you. And I'm going to go to Rebecca for the next question.
So Faith, there's been a lot of controversy lately in your industry or in your sector about using your customers' contacts lists to send collection messages, sometimes threatening messages. And how are you addressing that? Is this something that you are avoiding? You did talk about using having people as kind of guarantors or something like that. How are you handling that? And this response, negative response to collection activity from lenders? Okay, so I think first things first, I like to say here that we're not just lenders. We are just that solution or the platform that is giving access to formal financial services. And so I'll piggyback a little bit to what Malcolm said. One of the things that makes us different is the fact that we're offering more than just access to credit. So that in itself is, it's a positive thing. Today, people can get access to microinsurance. But to address your question correctly, I would say that our solution is that interface where the people are able to connect to the formal financial services. So if it was a credit solution, for instance, where somebody has to be able to address someone who was taking credit, one of the first things we try to do is keep it to that individual. So we kind of avoid that social shame that comes with, you being a poor debtor or a bad debtor. Another thing that we do to drive, to try and lessen that effect is the fact that if you are a poor or a defaulter on the platform, what you've automatically done is you've giving little or no access to the platform for other people. So people in your network will be affected negatively. And so that also gives a lot more impetus for people to be able to behave properly. And then, of course, that means that we're less inclined to want to send those messages. So in short, what we try to do is we explore any other means before we can even address, the situation like that. We try to avoid it as much as possible. And our main focus is for people to have access.
Thank you, Faith. Go on.
Just quickly on that. But you do the social shaming, like even if you're doing it in the last resort. I just want to clear that up.
Yes, we will still do it, but that's at a really, really last resort. In the length of time that we've been active, there are very few occasions that we've actually resorted to doing so. And part of what we try to do is just restrict people who are in your network for being able to access credit from the financial institutions. And that sort of puts pressure. So there's no direct messaging. It's just that that your friend hasn't behaved well in the last, maybe 1 month or so. And please give the person some sort of nudge to be able to do the right thing. So we try to keep it as small as possible, but it's a really, really last resort. Again, I would like to say here that one thing you must know, well, we do know that too much of anything, even if something was good, is bad. So this industry is one, if you look at some situations, maybe like in China, where they're using the social reputation score for a lot of things, there are obviously negatives to it, and there will be negatives to, for me, I believe, to almost anything, even if it was water, if it was anything. But how it is being managed and the expertise with which you manage it, I think, is something that needs to be looked at very closely. And one of the things we've been able to do is try to make sure that it's a really, really last resort.
Thank you. I'm going to go to John.
Faith, thank you for an excellent presentation. As a software engineer, I'm really interested in the algorithm. Can you explain exactly how it calculates a score out of 100? And in particular, how does it actually work if somebody's primarily offline?
Okay, so if you're primarily offline, one of the things that we're going to be looking at is first, definitely you might not be able to get access to, if it was credit, to anything like a large amount of credit. Because there's very little information about you. The other thing is using SMS and USSD, you're able to bring your friends onto the platform who can vouch for you. Another thing that is done in Nigeria today is something called the bank verification registration. One of the things we do first is, after delivering financial literacy to that demographic of people who are usually unbanked, underbanked, and have no access to smartphones, we do a biometric registration there. So that's the first layer of information. Using that first layer of information and their own network and all the information that they're able to provide that corroborates with that first layer of information, then we give that person access. But what happens there is that the person now starts to build his reputation over time.
Thank you very much, Faith. I think those are great answers, and you even kept within the time. I'm sorry we don't have time for a question from the audience on this one, but I just want to remind the audience you can put questions in, and I will try and take them when we have time. Thanks, Faith. Great answers, great presentation, and we wish you great success. And now back to you, Shini, to introduce the next finalist.
Thank you, Malcolm. Well done, Faith. Very confidently delivered pitch. Now, just to echo Malcolm, remember that if you do have any questions for the finalists, pop them in the chat box and we'll do our best to have the judges ask these specific questions. Now I'd like to introduce the second Africa Prize 2021 finalist, Noel Gasson, who designs low-cost biowaste processes for smallholder farmers in West Africa. Based in Côte d'Ivoire, his innovation, Quebeco, ferments what is left over from farmers after a good harvest season. Rather than throw away leftover bio-waste, Quebeco processes this material into cooking gas and liquid compost. About 5 kilograms of daily solid waste provides a home with 2 hours worth of cooking gas and 50 litres of liquid compost. Thanks to Quebeco, smallholder farmers in West Africa can earn additional money from selling byproducts from their farm waste. 50 composters have been installed to date in cocoa, palm oil and mango farms. 2 biodigesters are currently running on cassava farms on a trial basis. Over to you, Noel.
Hi, I'm Noel Gasson, CTO and co-founder of Lono, based in Côte d'Ivoire. So did you know that the global organic food and beverages market is valued at $220 billion and is expected to grow to reach $600 billion by 2026. At the same time, the 2 million smallholder farmers in Côte d'Ivoire at the base of value chains such as cocoa, cashew, cotton generate 30 million tons of biowaste for which they earn no additional income, despite its potential as raw material for organic fertilizer. There are reasons for this. So the first reason is that the customers driving the demand for organic foods do not interact directly with these farmers that are expected to change their practice. Secondly, this change in farming practices from chemical to organic fertilizers is costly, and it requires some expertise and administrative capacity that farmers often lack. Lastly, the current organic fertilizers on the market here in Côte d'Ivoire cost up to 3 times more than their chemical counterparts. Lono proposes 2 innovative products to farmers and cooperatives looking to transition to organic production to access this growing market for organic foods. The products are used for the farmers to produce biofertilizers and also produce cooking gas. They are designed simply for the local context. They are patented for their innovative low water consumption, and they produce a lot of compost. They have a high compost output. At their current selling price of $1,000, the products generate additional income between $300 and $600 according to the crop and the farmer's practices. And the equipment has a lifetime of 5 years. And to complete the value proposition, which is to give access to this organic food market to the farmers, Lono provides cooperatives soil testing and assistance for certification. This is essential. Our target market is therefore certified cooperatives, or cooperatives in the process of certification, and the farmers using compost and biofertilizers. And this market is valued at $13 million, or 10% of the total fertilizer market in Côte d'Ivoire. In West Africa, this can be scaled to $55 million, and it's a growing market. To date, we have sold 50 units and validated the value proposition with actual users in cocoa, palm, and mango that have been using the product for over 12 months. Recent surveys following these 12 months have confirmed 90% customer satisfaction for the value proposition, and 2/3 of the users are requesting to purchase more units. And as part of our scaling strategy, we've entered into partnerships with large aggregators and with an interest in scaling organic production, such as Nestle and RSPO certified palm cooperatives. Part of our traction has also been in the form of expertise to affect the policy and regulation in organic fertilizer and the bioenergy sectors in Côte d'Ivoire. And we've been selected as national experts to propose the roadmap for best practices in composting and to assess the feasibility of profitable biofuel production from agricultural waste. All this work has been done by a very young and dynamic team led by Louise and myself as CTO and as CFO and CTO respectively. And we have benefited from advice from 2 people, Patrick Kwasi and Professor Dongo. Patrick Kwasi is an angel investor in Lono and in general is a serial entrepreneur. And Professor is a national figure in terms of biowaste processing and composting. For the next step of our scaling strategy, we're looking to raise $150,000 to access some expertise. So the funds will be used to import some raw material that are used to assemble the equipment, mainly the steel, to reduce the cost of production from 700 to 500. It will be used to train and onboard 6 partner cooperatives with whom we have a track record from over the past 2 years, so that they can distribute this equipment to their members. To build the sales and after-sales team to support these cooperatives, and lastly, to set up the first trial outside of Côte d'Ivoire and neighboring Ghana. And in terms of monetary support, we're looking for access to a network of last-mile distributors, such as home solar kits or other agricultural machinery, access to microfinance to support this new delivery model of rent-to-own, and to low-cost steel. So if you'd like to join us in providing a path for smallholder farmers to enter this growing market of $220 billion for organic foods, please send us a message or reach out to us after this pitch. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you. That was a great pitch. Once again, the first question will come from me, then I'll go to the judges, then I'll look for audience questions. So my question briefly, I know that reducing costs is going to be really important to get the growth and profitability you want. So what are the 3 things you most have to do to get your costs down?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Malcolm, for the question. So we have mapped all the steps of the production and delivery process and their respective costs. So we know where we can squeeze the cost down. And the key cost drivers are the raw material, the fact that we currently outsource the tooling and welding, and the cost of onboarding new users. So we've been able to confirm that from external supplier performance that already we can reduce the cost of raw materials enough. And by bringing in-house the welding and tooling, we can achieve the target reduction in unit cost. However, to really scale and reach the potential, because these smallholder farmers have a low purchasing power, we know this. So it will need to be combined with a long-term payment plan. So this can come in many forms. We've seen some success and failures in the home solar kit sector, but it does at least show what is possible in terms of selling hardware to low-income groups. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. That's clear. Over to Emma for the next question.
Great, thank you, Malcolm, and hi, Noel. It's lovely to meet you. Congratulations on an excellent product. I was also interested in the question around pricing. As Malcolm's asked that, I'm going to ask one about sustainability, because I think one of the things that really strikes me about your product is how much it can feed back into improving soil quality, improving yields for farmers. But if we take a step back and look at the process of what you're creating, your composters and so on, how are you going to ensure the sustainability of the sourcing of the materials to create that product in the first place?
Indeed. So hi, Emma. Thank you for the question. The choice of material, like the core material currently is steel, and that is largely reusable. So currently it's largely reusable, but in the long term, if we want to bring the cost further down, we may have to switch material, go into molding or 3D printing, and there we will always put priority over the recyclable nature of the material we use. And that's where that battle will be won. And also try to source it as close to where the end users are as possible. So currently, we don't have steel furnaces in Côte d'Ivoire, so we're a bit stuck on that. But in the medium term, as we switch to different production methods, either molding or 3D printing, we may have such options of locally sourced biomaterials. So that's how we go about it.
Thank you. Thanks. Next question is from Ibilola, and after that, I do have one from the audience. So Ibilola, over to you.
Thank you so much, Noel, for your excellent presentation. Where do you see your business in the next 3 years, and how do you intend to pivot from compost biofertilizer production to biogas? And what percentages do you see this panning out over the next few years?
Hi, Doctor. Thank you. So firstly, in the next 5 years, in terms of the Quebeco, we definitely want to start reaching a more substantial number of the smallholder farmers in Côte d'Ivoire. So if we focus on Côte d'Ivoire, there's 2 million smallholder farmers that produce about 80% of the total agricultural output. There's also industrial plantations, but the smallholder farmers are largely dominant. So with that size market, we're targeting at least the organic certified segment of that market, or the group that is moving towards that. And that's currently between 10 and 15%. So that's already a substantial number of farmers, and that's our focus segment. So in 5 years, we want to at least have a quarter of that segment. And the transition between compost and biogas, we honestly see the biodigester still as a composting machine, because in terms of feedback from the farmers, the real value they see is in the compost that the digester gives. The biogas is nice, but for them, it's not a direct impact on their income. So we hope, because it's out of our control, that the public policy will also give value to that clean cooking gas. But currently, in the local context, it is the compost for the digester that gives value to the farmers, and therefore both products ultimately are compost machines.
That's great. Thank you very much. And Noel, a couple of questions from the audience which build on that. Just how much does it cost? And again, remind us, and given the income the farmer will get, how affordable is this for the average farmer? Is it for the wealthiest, or will it cover 80% of the farmers in Côte d'Ivoire?
So currently it costs us $700 to make, and we sell it for $1,000. So we have quite tight margins in terms of anything going wrong, and we're trying to bring that down to $500 for the total cost of production as a first increment. This 1,000 price, and even if we bring that down to 800, it's still too high for a smallholder farmer. However, we've got some nice market data that shows that if we compare to other hardware that is sold to farmers for their productivity, which is what this is, a productivity tool, that value, that price is not outside what is already on the market. So there are pumps, there are home solar kits or solar pumps that are sold at that price and that are scaling. So we believe that it is possible. And in terms of income group or profile of farmers, it's really about how engaged that cooperative, because it's better to talk with a group of farmers than individual farmers, that cooperative is engaged in sustainability. And once that is the case, then in general, we've seen that they have also better farming practices. So they are able to realize this value proposition, because if they buy the equipment and they don't get the income yield, then no one is happy, right? So, but if a farmer with better farming practices tends to end up being more happy with his product, because they do the effort they need to do as well. So all in all, we can pay back the equipment in 2 years. So a farmer can get their money back in 2 years. So that's at least makes us confident. Yeah. If we can bring that down, it'll be even better.
That's great, Noel. Very clear, well answered. Back to you, Shini, for the next finalist, and thank you, Noel.
Thank you, Noel. Very solid presentation and excellent pitch. Well done. Next up, we have Fatou Juka Darbo from Make 3D Medical in the Gambia. Juka is a mechanical and electronics engineer and is the pioneer of customizable 3D printing medical solutions. 2 years ago, Juka and her co-founder started Make 3D to manufacture cost-effective, customizable orthopedic, medical and assistive equipment. Make 3D with medical institutions and their patients to design and produce devices to treat fractures such as braces, splints, connectors and spare parts for medical devices. When the pandemic hit, Juka and her co-founder signed a contract with the Medical Research Council unit at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in the Gambia to develop medical devices capable of being manufactured with a 3D printer. But enough from me. Let's hear from Juka about Make 3D.
Hello, everyone. I am Fatou Juka Darbo from the Gambia, and today I'll be pitching Make 3D Medical. In the Gambia, we say Gambian solutions for Gambian problems. And this is exactly what we do by solving issues in healthcare, education, and general manufacturing using locally contextualized 3D printed solutions. We have identified the following problems. No medical devices are manufactured in the Gambia, and everything is imported. Medical students don't have access to anatomical models or laboratory equipment. Inclusion of people with special needs into the education and labor market is highly limited due to the lack of assistive devices, and even those that are available in the country are not adjusted to fit the local needs. And during crises like COVID-19, Gambians, especially those in the rural area, were highly affected by the disruption of the supply chain of medical devices due to the high level of dependency. You cannot find hospitals everywhere in the Gambia. And there is a huge digital manufacturing skill gap amongst health workers. This is where Make 3D Medical comes in. We produce contextualized, locally made 3D printed solutions like orthopedic braces, prosthetics, connectors, PPEs, etc. We do this by developing and producing with our customers on site or by building the capacity of our customers so they can produce with or without us. How do we do this, you might want to ask? We currently developed and have a database of locally verified and culturally acceptable 3D printed designs and workflows using low entry cost FDM 3D printing technology. We have developed a mobile solar station that allows us to 3D print anywhere in the country with or without electricity supply. We are currently working on a user-based customizer that will allow our users to develop their products and fit it to their needs by only changing a few parameters without any knowledge of 3D printing design or CAD. We have collaborated with top medical research institutions to develop and test our products. Our key customers are hospitals, UN agencies, government institutions, and educational institutions. And while our main beneficiaries are patients with respiratory disorders and orthopedic patients, students, and young entrepreneurs. Our business was established in November 2019, and our solutions are currently being used clinically in hospitals locally. We have had contracts from UNDP Accelerator Lab, EU through the ITC, MRC Unit the Gambia, and many more. We have gained an early stage investment in July 2020, and since we started, we have generated an income of £60,000. At the moment, we are negotiating contracts worth £70,000 in the Gambia. And 3D printing is currently being accepted in schools and hospitals thanks to us. We have done this in the Gambia. And one thing we are sure of is that Gambia has similar problems to other West African countries. So in the next 6 months, we want to be present in one West African country and build the capacity of a partner. In the next 1 year, we want to have 3D printers in 5 major health centers in the Gambia. And in the next 2 years, we want to be present in 4 West African countries. We cannot do all of this without a qualified team. Our team consists of technical professionals, businessmen, and medical professionals with over 20 years of experience. Currently, we are looking for linkages in West African market and to be able to access the West African tech industry. We are looking for partners that are experienced in these areas, and we are also looking for funding and collaboration to continue developing our 3D printed customizer, getting certification for our products, and developing our capacity as a team. This is all estimated at £500,000, and we are looking for people and professionals that are enthusiastic about technology and are excited to join us to disrupt the 3D printing technology in West Africa. Thank you.
Thanks, Juka. What you are doing is really inspiring. This time I'm going to go straight to Maya for the first question. Maya.
Hello, that was a brilliant presentation. Thank you. My first question is about competition. So 3D printers are fairly ubiquitous. I'd like to understand exactly what is proprietary in your solution. And as you scale, tell me about the sustainability of raw inputs, the material used to actually build products from your 3D printing machines.
Thank you, Maya. Yes, there is competition, and we know we have competition, but our power in 3D printing technology in the Gambia is that we are local and we know what the people of our country need. We cannot just come and provide 3D printed solutions without contextualizing, without understanding the local market and giving them solutions that are actually welcome and also culturally acceptable by the people. So this is our power, and this is where we are leading when it comes to our competition. And when it comes to the second part, sorry? When it comes to raw materials,
apologies, one quick clarity on that first point. I'd like to understand if you could just go a little bit deeper. It sounds like your proprietary component is in the relationships and not necessarily the technology.
It is in building relationships and also working with the technology. We are building capacity of our customers so they can print with or without us, and they will always come back to us for the services and the raw materials, basically. And we are also understanding the customers. We know what we are trying as much as possible to involve them throughout the production, development, and design of our products. So they are also contributing towards what we are making. This way, we know we are not just giving them things because they suit us, but because they want these things and they are accepting it. So this is where we are leading when it comes to competition. And when it comes to raw material and the things and the devices we use, the printers we are using right now, they are low-cost printers, and most of the parts of these printers can be replicated using the same printer. So even when a part is not working, we can design and print the same part or get it from an open source and use this part.
Thank you, Juka. Next question from Emma, please.
Hi, Juka. It's lovely to meet you. My question is around the medical sector. Rightly and notoriously, product certification can take time. It can be pretty complex. What is your strategy for ensuring that the products that you're making in this innovative way can get that certification, both in the Gambia and then in the other countries that you're looking to expand into?
The first strategy is trying to get certification in Gambia, which we are currently working on, and have dropped in our application for certification of our first products. And also looking at, since this is completely new in the Gambia and we're the first ones doing it, there are basically no standards and we have to provide our own standards. And we are looking at things that are acceptable in other parts of the world that are using the same technology and the same services, show the standards and the certification bodies in the Gambia so they know that these things are being used and they are accepted elsewhere. And if they work there are chances that they will work here also. And since they are low cost and we are able to build their capacity, we are able to explain what we are doing and we are able to show them the proof that this actually works, we can get certification here. And with that certification nationally, we can also use that to expand in other countries. Because as long as we get certification in our country, we can also look for certification in other countries in the region.
Thank you, Juka. And now to John.
Hello, Juka. Thanks for an excellent presentation. I'm interested in how you see your mix of revenue changing over the next 3 to 5 years, and in particular, what proportion of your revenue will be contributed by your own products versus hardware resales and consultancy revenue?
Part of the revenue that will be coming from our own products currently is at 40% of our revenue, as 60% of our revenue still comes from capacity building, and this is what we are hoping to continue doing. So we can actually have the revenue flow coming from capacity building, and also 40% from selling from small scale
from small-scale production and customized production on demand for individuals. But our main form of revenue is coming from capacity building, which is 60% currently.
Okay, I've got a thank you. John, did you have a follow-up? If not, I've got some audience questions.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
Okay, Juka, there's a couple of good ones here from the audience which I like, and I'll ask them both, which is, what are you going to use the £500,000 for, and how do you ensure the quality of the devices that are made remotely in remote areas? You're not able to quality assure them, so who bears the risk of using those devices in the medical market?
We are currently developing a customizer, as I said in my presentation, and this customizer will have products that we have developed, tested, and designed in the country, and we will upload them in the software. So anyone that is using our software and our services will have access to this customizer, and even if they don't have the ability to design their own products, they can just put in a few parameters like the measurement of the patients and the little details to generate the design, and this design will be generated in the G code, so they can just get the design from the customizer and directly print for themselves. So this is one of the strategies we are using to uphold the quality and standards of our designs and production. The other question was,
what are you going to do with the £500,000 that you are asking to raise?
The £500,000 we are going to use in continue developing our customizer right now, get certification for our products, improve the capacity of our team, as well as expand in other West African countries. So we are planning to use the money to do market research, expansion, and all these other things in between.
Okay,
but most importantly, capacity also.
Okay, no, thank you, Juka. Great answers and a really interesting business and business model. And back to you, Shini.
Thanks, Malcolm. Wow, what an inspirational pitch and presentation. Well done, Juka. And lastly, for this afternoon, we have Indira Tengiwe from South Africa with her innovation, Blue Arvo. Blue Arvo is a digital platform connecting brands in the media industry with local content creators. Designed for the African creative economy, the Blue Arvo platform is a web-based application that lets recruiters find creative talent. They simply upload an open brief which content creators respond to. Once work is agreed, the platform provides a workspace for the team to collaborate digitally. The Blue Arvo platform also accounts for risk management, legal and intellectual property protection, and provides a payment gateway. Freelance marketplaces do exist in the global economy, but none are tailor-made for the African continent. Blue Arvo brings creators from all across the continent together, essentially facilitating cross-border trade in Africa. Take it away, Indira.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Indira Tengiwe, and I am the co-founder of Blue Arvo. Imagine a world where the entire African creative economy was readily available at your fingertips at the click of a button. Imagine Blue Arvo, Africa's creative marketplace. Blue Arvo began after discovering that opportunities in the creative economy are not that equal. This is because access to opportunities has been based on who you know and not what you know or your creative talent. Until now, creators have had little access to a pipeline of commercial opportunity because they didn't know the right people, whilst brands have had little access to talented African creatives that they could trust. So despite the potential of this lucrative market that generated £8 billion in Nigeria and South Africa alone in 2020, the same people kept getting the same jobs. It is a problem when opportunity isn't democratized. The solution was born when myself, a passionate entrepreneur in the creative sector who's had personal experience with the problem, and my co-founder, Isaac Chiteta, a mechatronics engineer and software developer, joined forces. We realized that we could utilize the power of technology to transform a key economic sector on the continent. Thus began Blue Arvo. After endless nights of development, We launched a solution that connects brands, marketers, startups, and agencies to digital creatives across the continent, servicing their creative business needs. Simultaneously, we enable these digital creators to reach new customers and scale their service offering. The platform allows brands to upload a creative brief where creators digitally pitch for the job and contracts are awarded based on creative talent and price. This empowers hidden talent to be discovered and levels the playing field. Blue Arrow earns a 20% commission on all briefs, which covers sourcing, vetting, and managing of the digital creative community. In the future, we intend to introduce subscription services for creators, which will encourage usage for the platform through a discount mechanism. The platform handles the legal agreements, the IP transfers, and the payments between parties. The gig economy is a thriving solution, particularly in a post-COVID world, generating £1 trillion annually in revenue globally. Whilst competition from international players exists in the market, such as Fiverr and Upwork, a recent study by Oxford University showcased that whilst creative platforms exist on the continent, they have little impact on the local African economy, largely due to barriers of prejudice. Our solution is a tailor-made technology that takes advantage of the market on the continent whilst addressing local challenges. Our mission is to show the world the African talent that it has been missing out on. To date, we have seen creators from more than 9 African countries registering on the platform, including Nigeria, South Africa, and Egypt. We've generated £12,000 in sales. Though currently not operating at vision, we are confident that our platform will experience significant growth, as historically proven by our competitors, which are growing at about 200 to 600% per year. The Blue Arrow team consists of 2 co-founders, myself, Indira, an experienced entrepreneur and the CEO of Blue Arrow, and Isaac Chiteta, an experienced entrepreneur and engineer and Blue Arrow CTO. The rest of the team consists of 1 developer, a UI, and a UI designer. We've also created a board of advisors, including Jeff Hoffman, founder of Priceline and Booking.com, and Sneha Shah, managing director of London Stock Exchange, who support us with our corporate governance and positioning the company for growth and fundraising. Speaking of which, we are currently fundraising a seed round of 300,000 British pounds using a safe note. This funding will be used for product development, marketing, and to cover operational costs for the next 18 months. This will allow us to operate at vision capacity, managing an average of at least 40 briefs per month. It will set us on track to generate £52 million of revenue in our 5th year of operation. We are also looking for introductions with brands to access our digital creative marketplace. You know, the way that Africa is working is changing. And at Blue Arrow, our desire is to facilitate that change. From the remote villages in Togo to the tech hubs in South Africa, to us, every single creative is invited. Thank you.
Thank you. And the first question, thank you very much, Indira. That was a great presentation. Good to see you there in live. And the first question is going to come from Rebecca.
Hi, Indira. How are you? I wanted to know how you're going to keep your users from moving off the platform for further transactions.
All right. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That's an excellent question. And this is a question that we've actually almost experienced firsthand. And what we've realized is that there's such an importance for us to tailor-make the solution for the creatives, considering the creative first. So when you look at Blue Arrow, we've come to understand some of the challenges that exist on the market, some of the legal issues, the payment issues, the creative space in this specific market. So we've decided that when we zone in on this, make sure that our creators are protected, legally speaking, always get paid on time, and also embed solutions that enable them to do the creative work at an affordable offer. We encourage them to stay on Blue Arrow. So even if, them being so brilliant, a brand can approach them and say, why don't we work offline? It's in the best interest for the creator to say, you know what, I'm more protected using Blue Arrow, so I'd rather stay.
Thank you. That's a clear answer, I think. And to Maya for the next question, please.
Hello, great presentation, thank you. I have a question on your marketplace. And so how do you control the quality of supply of creators, and why internationally or domestically would they choose the creators that are posting on your platform? And then as far as the demand across the continent, really how big do you think this market is? And then how do you break it down as far as why people would come on to your platform locally as opposed to using the creative talent that they already have access to and probably have been using?
All right. Thank you so much, Maya. I might need a slight reminder of the first part of the question.
Supply and demand.
Oh, okay. So what we're doing on the platform is that we allow for skill verification. So similar to platforms that specifically target software developers, where we are using take-home assignments, which basically test the skill of the creative to make sure that the creators on the platform are who they say they are and can do what they say they can do. And if they fail the test, then they have to wait a specific period, and then they can come back or at a later stage, or they'd have to pay us to do the verification as well at a later stage. Now to your second question. So sorry, it's so I'm so nervous. I'm getting the question.
No problem. That was on the supply. So understanding why people locally or internationally, or how big you think that actual market is, as opposed to them just going and using the creatives that, through referral. How big is the market of people who are potentially going to come on the platform?
Sure. So one of the things that we're really specifically excited about is how Africa is coming up as a huge giant. For anybody to make real impact in terms of the future of their businesses, they need to start considering African markets. So our solution is saying, instead of just speaking to Africans, why don't you actually use Africans to create content for you to better reach your markets? And that's what Blue Arrow does. What we've seen in terms of international marketplaces is that whilst they do exist on the continent, oftentimes it's very seldomly that African local creators are chosen. I've experienced this firsthand, where I was invited to a dinner and a German creator was flown down to produce an ad for South African market. At Blue Arrow, we're saying, these people are accessible. Why don't you use them? As a South African creative, I understand the South African market. And so that is why we are excited about people using our platform. We are giving people direct access to African talent, which better positions them to grow their companies, to reach the markets that are on this continent. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thanks. I'm going to go to Ibilola, and then if we've time, we'll come back to Rebecca. So Ibilola first.
Fantastic presentation, Indira. I love the STEM integration concept, and you're empowering creatives with technology. Could you just tell us how you're going to balance in the near future revenue from subscription models, products, sales, and services, and where you see the job creation being more impactful?
Okay, so currently we are working on a commission-based structure where, as people upload briefs, we earn a commission from it. But upon further conversations, we realized that there's a huge potential for a subscription-based model where, where we can encourage creators to actually pay a subscription fee on the platform, and we take a smaller percentage from the commission. And then another conversation that has recently come out is long-term hire. So a lot of the time we're seeing this, which is great for us because we're excited about placing creatives into, more jobs. But we are now having to rework our business model to include a more long-term hire option for other companies. And this is still an ongoing conversation, so we haven't quite figured that out yet, but we're excited about the opportunity. What I think is really great for the company is that we're zoning in on the African continent. And so what we want to do in the future is start selling, the footage, the library of content these African creatives have, as well as empower them to actually generate more income, not necessarily just from the briefs on the platform. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. And I'm going to come back to Rebecca for a quick one, and then we'll have to wrap.
Yeah, very, very quickly. How many transactions have come through your platform, and what's the average amount of those transactions?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So far, we've seen 8 transactions come through the platform. We're very excited about this because, it takes a lot. And the average amount of the value of the transaction is about £3,000 for the size of it. So yeah, that's where we're currently at.
Okay, I'm afraid that we're going to have to wrap up there. We've got loads of questions in that we didn't get to, but thank you, Indira, and thank you to all the finalists, and thank you to the judges for excellent questions. I think all the pitches were great, and it's really tough being cross-examined like this in real time. So I think you've all answered our questions really well. Now, the 6 of us judges have the super difficult task of selecting just one winner from these 4. And as we do that, it will be great to get some help from you in the audience. So while we go off to deliberate, I'll hand back to Shini, who will be seeking your audience votes on the excellent 4 finalists we've just heard. And we're going to get the feedback from that and factor that into our thinking. So thank you very much, and over to you, Shini.
Thanks, Malcolm. Well done, Indira. I love it when technology meets media. Excellent presentation. Well, what an impressive group of entrepreneurs. The innovations that these 4 Africa Prize 2021 finalists have just showcased are so ingenious and inspiring. If you haven't done so already, please do vote for which of our finalists have impressed you the most this afternoon. You have about a minute left to get your vote in. The winner will be announced at the end of the event, and your vote could make all the difference as the judges begin their deliberations. Casting your vote is easy. Just go to the audience polls section below and select one of the 4 finalists' names. Thank you for taking part. And now we have the one to watch pitches, where only you, the audience, will decide on the winner. The One to Watch is a new award of £5,000 that has been introduced this year, designed exclusively for our 12 shortlisted entrepreneurs. Thank you to our generous donors and partners who have made this possible. Each of the shortlists will now present a 1-minute pitch, and will then invite you to cast a vote on who you think has the most potential for impact in Africa. The highest vote will receive the award. Let's get started.
My name is Azunda O. Jacob, founder and CEO at Evers. I have background in mechanical engineering, and I'm from Nigeria. According to World Bank, 440 million Africans are estimated to live in extreme poverty, and over 300 million of them depend on cassava for their livelihood. However, manually processing just 25 kg of cassava granules into a staple food, gari, takes up to 4 hours to complete. We have developed an automated gari processing plant that is capable of processing times 12 the amount when processed manually. In addition to that, units of the processing plant represent small and medium-sized enterprise and have the potential to impact directly on over 70 million local farmers. We have built and tested the processing plant and are seeking for £15,000 to commercialize the product. Thank you.
I'm CJ Tamo Amel from Pra. Kulu believe that by the time I end my pitch here in Cameroon, 1 hectare of vegetation cover will be destroyed. And across the world, we will observe deforestation equivalent of 16 football fields. And finally, $200,000 of packaging market will be accomplished. We decide to transform banana production waste into biodegradable packaging to ensure that we will use less plastics and less deforestation. Additionally, we will produce organic fertilizer to help rural farmers to increase your productivity. In 10 months, we create 10 jobs, we empower 10 rural women, we produce and sell 700 packaging and reduce 17 tons of carbon. Join us with Found, with skill, networking, certification, distribution, and let us inspire you to believe in their ability to be the change they want to see in the world. Thank you and welcome on board.
Hello, I am Eloho, CEO at Koodlin. Having worked in the tech space, my co-founders and I discovered a common problem. Recruiting programmers can be hectic and time-consuming. It takes an average of 3 months to fill up a key tech role. But that's not the case with Koodlin because we have automated the entire process. We offer a holistic approach to recruitment, thereby cutting down the initial recruitment time from 3 months to just 2 weeks. We currently have a pool of over 14,000 African programmers, and we have hired for clients from across Africa, Europe, and the US. The founding team is backed by seasoned entrepreneurs with over 30 years corporate experience in key expertise. We're looking to raise 600,000 USD to grow our business. And we invite you to join us as we help African youths gain access to their dream jobs. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tepo Manuele, the founder and CEO of Lign Organic. I'm a chemical engineer, but more importantly, I'm a bit of a tree hugger. We all know issues around plastics, which include land and ocean pollution. Coupled with that, microplastics ingestion by human beings. However, a bigger problem exists: fiber packaging, which isn't as eco-friendly, and bioplastics that aren't really biodegradable, and these are currently flooding the market. We've created, using waste plant material and nanotechnology, a bioplastic that dissolves in water at predetermined rates, while truly being biodegradable and compostable. Our product is price competitive, and it's for the environment, by the environment. We are currently building a biorefinery concept producing sulfur-free lignin, while simultaneously converting it to bioplastics. And we need 1.5 million pounds to purchase plastic extrusion equipment. So we implore you to join us on our journey to make plastics great again. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Neymar Aydanyegen, a civil engineer from Senegal. I'm the CEO and co-founder of EcoBuilders MS, promoting the I3S solution. What is I3S solution? It is an innovative storage-based solution, optimum and affordable. I3S is totally designed with recycling and natural materials. Why we designed this solution? Because in Senegal, 70% of our active population are farmers. In 2019, our average global production was over 200 million of crops. When we lost 1/3 of this global production because of one problem, the problem of post-harvest loss. When one of the biggest objectives of our country is food self-efficiency. We save more than 200 tons of crops since 2018. We already built 2 storage spaces in 2 different communities. We can store onion, potatoes, and peanuts more than 6 months without using energy, only the property of these natural materials. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron, and I represent Jimeni from Ghana. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused a steady increase in the demand for last-mile deliveries, but the average Ghanaian still has to wait for 5 hours to receive an item delivered through traditional courier companies. This has caused many businesses to lose up to 20% of their revenue every month. Enter Jimeni, an on-demand delivery platform which connects anyone who wants to deliver anything to a network of couriers with a guaranteed delivery time of less than 1 hour. With a dozen dispatchers and 200 monthly active users, we currently complete over 1,000 deliveries a month and charge a commission of 20% on each delivery. With an inclusive team of experts in e-commerce, last mile deliveries, and software engineering, we ask you to join us raise a seed round of $500,000 to help boost our fleet, improve our technology, and cover marketing costs. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Atisha, founder at Rover Labs Tanzania, the only initiative in East Africa that is locally designing and manufacturing 3D printed bionic hands for upper limb amputees. In East Africa, about 100,000 amputees from low income end up without any prosthetic. Access to prosthetics is largely through NGOs, orthopedic centers, and charitable organizations, and what they offer has little functional improvement. Our product is functional, accessible, affordable, and sustainable. By working with the same organization through different avenues, we are making functional bionic hands accessible to amputees at a fraction of the cost. We have a starting serviceable market of 100,000 amputees and a vast opportunity to scale in terms of products and geographical segments. Our funding needs are £45,000, which will be used for additional equipment, R&D, and operations. Supply of direct machinery and equipment is welcome. We also need mentors, industry experts, and market stakeholders to move to the next stage of our business in making myoelectric prosthetics a reality across Africa. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pazion Chernet, founder and CEO of Orbitals, the leading digital health company in Ethiopia. Orbit strives to solve access and quality healthcare services gap through an integrated digital health management system. A study shows that 87% of maternal days is due to delayed access to proper care, lack of continuity. The manual way of how care is managed further exacerbated the problem. With Orbit's solution, over 650,000 patients' data have been digitized, and the amount of time it takes to access proper care has shrunk by 2.5 hours. The company was bootstrapped with $150,000 and then also raised an additional $150,000 seed investment. Our revenue has shown 5x growth from the previous year. Our plan to digitize 4 million patients in partnership with the Ministry of Health and in the growing demand private sector. Assembled 35 experts with diverse backgrounds and then also an advisory board with investment and business scale-up experiences. We look for $5.7 million USA funding and an advisors and support from tech companies to expand what we do in East African corridor. Thank you.
Energy is fundamental to all developmental opportunities. However, more than 600 million Africans currently live without access to electricity. Another 300 million are connected to the grid, but they struggle daily with reliable electricity. In my country, Nigeria, over 70 million people, as we speak, live without access to electricity. At Ready, we leverage our proprietary technology, the Ready capsule, to provide clean, reliable, and affordable electricity to African households and businesses. Our energy system reduces energy expenses of users by over 30% and creates energy-based businesses as well as employment opportunities in our operating communities. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Taufik, co-founder at TrePlus. At TrePlus, we build low-cost medical infusion devices, and one of our products is Rodrop, which helps nurses and doctors deliver precise infusions to the body of patients. A doctor or nurse can control multiple devices from their mobile devices or their web dashboard in real time. And for now, we've built a device and we are at the manufacturing stage and trying to carry out the second clinical trial to get the device into the hospitals. We have completed the manufacturing and device will be ready in the next 3 months. And also looking at completing the certifications that's needed to operate in the US and the UK. We're looking much forward to global partners to get the device into more hospitals and clinics. Thank you.
Good day. I'm Yusuf Bilisami from Shifa Technologies Limited. At Shifa, we have developed a non-electric, non-invasive ventilator serving respiratory needs of patients. Today, I would like to share the story of Dr. Valentine, who was a frontline doctor in Lagos, Nigeria, catering for COVID-19 patients and eventually got infected himself. He struggled with the nebulizer, which did him no good. Unfortunately, we lost Dr. Valentine. In response to this, we have developed the Shivent with 4 distinct features. It's non-electric, easy to install, non-invasive, and oxygen efficient. It caters for various respiratory needs such as asthma, cognitive heart failure, pneumonia, and COVID-19. The Shivent has passed 3 functionality tests here in the UK. We are presently holding demonstrations in Nigeria and India. We are seeking to raise £570,000 for regulatory approvals, manufacturing, and distribution. Thank you.
Africa is home to the largest and youngest workforce in the world. Yet many companies in Africa struggle to fill IT-related positions. Despite the interest among Africans to learn to code, less than 1% of African children leave school with basic coding skills. One major cause is poor access to computers for teaching and learning. Fortunately, there's a proliferation of smartphones in Africa, which provides a unique means of introducing coding skills to Africans. Our solution, Sianko.ai, is a smartphone-based AI-powered app to learn to code. Ours is the only coding app with an AI teaching assistant, Kwame, who helps you when you get stuck. In the past 2 years, we've had 3K students across 42 African countries learning in English and French, who have gone on to get internships and jobs and study in top universities. Through Sianko.ai, we are bringing coding skills within arm's reach of millions across Africa, thereby improving their economic and career prospects. Partner with us to impact more Africans. Thank you.
Wow, such impressive innovations that are being recognised by the Academy's Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation and for their potential for future impact. If you feel inspired by this programme's work and would like to play your part in supporting Africa's entrepreneurs to solve some of the greatest challenges of our time, we would very much welcome your donations. Donations help to ensure that we can continue to deliver our goals of harnessing engineering to create a sustainable society and inclusive economy. To be meaningful, accelerating progress towards a sustainable society needs to be considered in a global context, and the Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation is a perfect example of how the Academy is contributing to this goal. Now that you've heard from all 12 of our shortlist, it's now time for you to cast your vote. Choose the pitch that resonates with you the most. Again, please do go to the audience polls section where you should be able to see the 12 names of the shortlist. Remember, the highest vote will receive an award of £5,000. You can only vote once, so use it wisely, and thank you for taking part. This is so exciting, and as we tally up your votes, we'll move on to the fireside chat, and I have a fantastic set of panellists for you. This afternoon, we're joined by Charles Morito, Director of Sub-Saharan Africa, Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google. Charles is based in Nairobi and oversees in-country innovation and growth of Google products and services in Sub-Saharan Africa. He's also the Diversity and Inclusion Lead for Emerging Markets at Google. Great to have you with us, Charles, and thanks for taking the time to be here. We also have CEO and founder of NIA Crowdfund, Sarah Burns. Sarah recently completed her PhD at Oxford University as an Oxford Rhodes Scholar on how to ethically and sustainably contribute to private sector development in post-conflict Africa. She founded NIA, a crowdfunded digital platform that lets you invest in exceptional African businesses who are making an impact. So pleased to have you with us, Sarah. Well done on recently completing your PhD.
Thank you so much.
And we're also joined by an Africa Prize alumnus from 2014, Samuel Chaguna. Samuel founded Chura, a company dealing in the issuance of debit virtual cards in Africa, and Weza.io, which offers credit scoring, anti-fraud models and lending platforms for developing markets. His innovation has been an Ericsson Sub-Saharan Africa Award winner, a 2014 Africa Prize finalist, and Demo African Innovation Award winner. It's great to see the Africa Prize alumni giving their time back to us. And it's wonderful to have you here, Samuel. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Now, as we have this chat, we'd love to continue hearing from you, our audience, on your thoughts and questions. So please do pop them in the chat section below. So, to all of you, because you've all worked and lived in the heart of Africa, what inspires you the most about entrepreneurship and innovation in Africa? We'll start with you, Charles.
Thank you so much, Shini. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. I think for me, one of the things that inspires me the most about entrepreneurship in Africa is really looking at the data and looking at what Africa stands to provide to the world over the next 20, 30 years. When you look at the population of Africa, by 2050, a third of the world's working population is going to be right here in Africa. So it's absolutely critical for us to start creating opportunities for all the young people. And a key component of creating those opportunities is going to be entrepreneurship. So I'm excited about what the young people are doing, both from an engineering perspective and more broadly, and really looking at how do you actually scale that technology to be able to reach what was historically perceived as traditional businesses. So I'll pause there.
How about you, Sarah?
Thanks so much. I mean, I think being in the UK throughout COVID, I've thought about this question a lot. Because in the past year, we've seen so many businesses here that have really struggled to get through this pandemic. It's been such a hard time. And I really started to reflect on a lot of the markets I've worked in, like Liberia and Sierra Leone, where entrepreneurs have dealt with these massive shocks every few years. I've worked with entrepreneurs who have kept their businesses going throughout civil war, throughout Ebola, throughout, a drastic change in government. I even know a business where their production facility completely burnt down, and now they're going through COVID. And, every time one of these shocks happen, the entrepreneur is able to pivot, they're able to adapt, and they can keep going. And I think this just shows such an incredible tenacity, but also this creativity and dedication to their business. And I think we here in the UK have seen firsthand how incredibly difficult this type of skill is for businesses. So the entrepreneurs I've worked with in Liberia who have, got through shock after shock after shock, and their business is not just still running, but they are, still actively trying to expand and grow. I mean, these are some really talented individuals who have an edge in business, and, they haven't really been given the opportunity to grow. And I think it's just really exciting to see what they'll do with that opportunity.
Yeah, it's real resilience in action there. How about you, Samuel?
Yeah, I think for me, that's a question that deeply touches for me. Having grown up from the village and seeing what the impact of new innovation brings on board. And if I was to compare that with other markets, say developed markets, what you have in Africa is that any improvement in technology or in advancements, what you get are not marginal improvements. They are tenfold, they are paradigm shifts. So for me, it all ties to changing of lives overall. You see increasing things like life expectancy, working on child mortality rates. So it all boils down to the people themselves and what this means. And again, the bigger part being for us as people who are there at this moment. For example, like in my case, being an entrepreneur at this point in time, it also means we change the narrative and the culture and bringing in the idea of, we can do these African solutions by Africans. So that's, for me, something that's very motivating.
Mm. And this is a question for all of you, but we'll start with Sarah. How can we encourage more female entrepreneurs to start businesses?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question and also a really challenging one. I think I'm going to approach it from two different angles, one from the entrepreneur side, but also one from the investor side, because that's who I work with a lot. So I think first off, from my research, I know that there are a lot of incredible and badass female entrepreneurs out there. I think in terms of financing, though, even in impact investing, we're still seeing a lot more male founders who are receiving funding. And I think there are two main reasons for this. I think the first is that the male founders feel a lot more comfortable seeking out financing. And even at NIA right now, as we're building our pipeline of businesses to invest in, it has been mostly male founders who are actively contacting me and reaching out to me. And at NIA, we're really committed to our portfolio being 50% female business owners. And I think it takes a lot of work to get that. It takes a lot more active recruiting and networking, and it's just not as easy as finding a male founder who might just reach out to me and send me their information. So we really have to commit to taking the time to bring it about and providing that safe space for women to feel comfortable. And I think actually the Africa Prize is a really great example of this, because they put in this program that helped to support women applying to the Africa Prize and encourage it. And, we've obviously seen a great effect of that this year with 3 finalists being women. And I think that's great. I think just very quickly, looking at the investor side as well, I think, we really have to be more open to female entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. I've sat on investment committees in London where, there's a female entrepreneur and a male entrepreneur. And because the African market is very risky for London investors, it's very new to them, a lot feel more comfortable going with a male founder who might seem really confident and, a bit more forthcoming and more comfortable because they've had more experience than women. Although I don't think that was the case in our amazing pitches today. But I think this happens a lot, and it's a big mistake to not put on that gender lens when investing, and just knowing that the female entrepreneurs are coming from a bit of a different experience. My last point, and I know I'm running out of time, but the women out there to really invest. In the UK right now, only 15% of investment is done by women, and these amazing female entrepreneurs from Africa, they should be able to pitch to women who understand their product a bit better and maybe understand how they do business. And, we're seeing this with amazing female investing group. Like Rising Tide Africa is an example where you have female investors investing in female entrepreneurs. And I think we need to do this a lot more. And I'm hoping with a platform like NIA, which I've developed, where, there's no intimidating boardroom full of men, or, you don't have to commit very large sums of money into the African market, it will make it a lot easier for women to invest into female entrepreneurs.
Lots of calls to action there. Samuel, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's a very pertinent question considering the times, and more so in the, in the African setting. So the way I would view it is in 2 ways. One has to do with the buyers in the current kind of, VC funds we have, as Sarah has highlighted, whereby they are very, very heavy on the you have more men on the boardroom than you do have women. So that's a key thing again, without the lens through which you view what works, how the person commands the room will also be on a lens that, favors the men. The other bit has to do, again, this is tied on the African cultural setting, and the context is how the girl child is raised and her responsibilities. They have always been a bit different, a tad different from what you have from the boys. And overall, as these biases, at the end of it, you find you have more boys, advancing in schools all the way to the university. And even if they go to the college, there are certain expectations that, the girl child has that the boy child, doesn't have. And with that, it means the boy child gets to have, a space where he can take more risks as compared to the girl child. So for that, I think the solution with that would be around education, just ways on how we can enhance or entrench an equal opportunity for both the boy and the child and the girl child. So that stems on the education bit of that.
Yeah. Charles, what are your thoughts on this?
That's a really good question, especially when we're thinking about some of the challenges that that Sarah spoke about, especially around funding. I just actually wanted to put a number to that, which really encapsulates it and makes it even more urgent. When you look at, there was a report that the IFC put out last year that looked at funding for entrepreneurs between 2012 and 2017. And what was shocking is that only $30 million of investment went to female founders in Africa. And therefore, there is a real need for us to focus on how we can be able to really target the women who are coming online as entrepreneurs, help them find ways through accelerator programs. And I wanted to talk about the Google Launchpad Accelerator Program, whereby we have just announced the 6th class of this, and we've worked with about 67 startups since 2017. And all these startups look at and come from 17 different countries across the continent. So we need to continue creating those platforms whereby we mentor, we help them go through the pitch process, as Sarah mentioned, but more importantly, post the pitch process, we help them raise the funds because they are creating really great jobs. And I also want to touch on another element, which are SMBs. And at the same time, we need to also encourage SMBs for a couple of reasons. The first key element is that more SMBs across Africa are owned by women. And the second point is that most SMBs owned by women are less profitable than their counterparts, the ones that are owned by men. So if we were to create parity on those two areas, economically across the continent, we're actually going to lift the African economy a lot higher. So we need to really think about it in terms of creating those level playing fields, encouraging and helping young women grow, and really closing that gender inequality, which we've seen is a key problem across the continent, and we need to continue building on that. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks. Yeah, that sounds so encouraging and provides a lot of hope. And I love the idea of starting young, to kind of encourage the development of women in business. What does it take, and I'm going to put this to Samuel first, but I'm asking all of you, what does it take to scale a business in Africa?
I think that's an interesting question. What does it take? I think one of the interesting things you find is, yes, Africa as a continent is a very interesting space. But then again, what most people miss out is that you have different countries with different regulation, different requirements. So to answer your question, what does it take? It requires, one, forging very good partnerships across board, people to just assist you to traverse the very different regulatory frameworks. But you have the usual, what you'd expect. One is that tenacity in doing that, just going into the market. The other thing you need to know is each market is different in one way or the other. Just having a presence or looking in ways you can have an experience of those different markets. And again, that is largely driven by things like partnerships. So yes, there's the funding bit. That one you can't miss out on that. Again, as a way of scaling, and there's the understanding the different markets, and now the overall partnerships around it.
How about you, Charles? What's your views on that?
For me, and this might be a biased perspective, I think the first thing, it's about creating a solution for a human problem. That is, for me, the most fundamental thing as an entrepreneur when you're creating a startup you really need to think about. And it also needs to have exposure. When I talk about exposure, it's people who need to know what they can be able to achieve. There's a fantastic saying that I heard once, which is, you can't be what you don't know. So if you can be able to encourage our entrepreneurs who are starting companies to have the ambition to actually scale the greatest heights, then when they're starting to think about what they're building, they will be able to build a business that can actually scale, especially when it's solving a human problem. And then another element is capital, which is absolutely critical. If you cannot be able to have the capital to scale, then you're not able to do that. And for this particular point, for instance, at Google, a few weeks back, we announced the Black Founders Fund here in Africa, which we're really encouraging people to go out and apply. And the two requirements are that it's a business that focuses on Africans or has at least one of the co-founders be African. And so those are the things that we really need to look at to be able to encourage. And then last but not least is having accelerator programs which provide platforms to drive that ambition, to help people actually create those networks, as Sam has mentioned, and then beyond that, be able to look at the marketplaces which they really think through the route to market. And then last but not least, don't be afraid to try, fail, but keep trying.
Oh, I love that last point. And all of your points. Sarah, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, first off, I mean, some really, really great answers so far. And I really agree with both Samuel and Charles that, you know, this ambition, and Charles spoke a lot about the acceleration programs. I think they're so important. These businesses need technical assistance and mentorship and support and networks. I'm just going to, because it's what I specialize in, I'm just going to focus on the funding and the investment aspect of this, which is, as Charles said, so critical. When I was doing my research, you know, I kind of kept banging my head against the wall with this problem of, I was talking to hundreds of innovative entrepreneurs who said that their biggest barrier to growth was access to finance. And then I would go do interviews and chat to impact investors and commercial investors who were saying, you know, they couldn't find investments to make in these markets, right? And it just shows how incredibly big this gap is and how critical this funding gap is. And I think, you know, these businesses, they really need a financier that can come up with what you saw today, right? So, you know, 250,000, 500,000, be flexible, be patient, understand the market, and provide that kind of positive relationship and mentoring that they need. But then I would talk to the impact investors and, you know, they would say, well, you know, most of them need to put in 2 million or 5 million into a deal, and they have very strict terms on the financing. And of course, there's this mismatch. So there are some funds out there that are trying very hard to fill this space and doing a good job, but it's very hard and that space is still very open. So I think one of the biggest things that we have to remember, and this has a lot to do with what Samuel said about these different markets, is that, you know, we can't just take our financing techniques that we've used in developed countries and in the West and just plop them into Africa. It's not going to work. So for example, when we look at venture capital, you know, first off, in the developed world, venture capital has struggled in places outside of Silicon Valley. So we cannot expect it to then work wonders all across Africa. It's done fairly well in places like Lagos, but it certainly is not going to work in a place like Liberia. So I think we need to be innovative and think about what the market actually needs and what is actually going to work financing wise. And there's so many opportunities to be more creative and do alternative financing, like asset financing is doing well, which provides more patience and more flexibility. And when we do this, you know, we may not get those unicorns that the VCs are desperately looking for, but because of the financing gap, we can find some really exceptional and solid businesses that can do well. So I think one of the big things I came out of and what I'm trying to do with NIA is that, we have these entrepreneurs that we've seen today who, are incredibly innovative with their products to deal with such unique and challenging markets. And as investors, we need to do the same. We need to step up to their level and be creative and innovative as well.
So inspiring. We have some questions from the audience and only a limited amount of time to get through them. So I'm going to ask the question, and between the three of you, volunteer who's going to answer, and we'll approach it that way. So the first question is, what is the one piece of advice you have for entrepreneurs starting and growing their business in Africa?
I think I can go with that. Yeah, I think the one piece of advice would be just working with a very lean approach. Again, SRI saying usually have a deficit in terms of the kind of funding you have. So you have seen an increase in that, and that's a positive thing. That's one. Two is that there are more. We have more businesses. There are more tech companies being built, not just fintech companies. And I think for Africa, what has been very much out there has been the financial tech. Again, largely because that's, it's a business that you make money from the onset. And it also works with the confinements of the environment, which is in an environment that is financially deficient. What you have is you end up building companies that are able to make money from the onset. So the highlight with that is, yes, we have a bias where you hear a lot of fintechs in the space, but you also have health techs and ad tech companies coming out as well. So it's just to be as broad, and as Charles has highlighted, as long as it's a problem that is meeting people's needs, then you have a market for it.
Brilliant. I'm going to move on to question 2, and if you want to jump in, please do, if there's anything that you really want to add. So what do you do to keep your mental health and well-being in check as an entrepreneur?
A lot of meditation, a lot of walking. But I'd like to hear from Sarah as well.
Sure. I think this is a tough one. I think for me, and COVID has really shown this for me, but setting those barriers of when you're going to turn off your laptop and when you're going to take time for yourself. I think it's so easy. I have businesses that are contacting me all the time, looking for funding. I have investors contacting me all the time. It's really good to set those boundaries to make sure you're taking time to do some other things that you love outside of work.
And I just want to build on that. Remember that you're not good to your company, to your to the people around you, or anyone else if you're unhealthy, if you cannot really be in good health, in good condition to actually perform at your best. At the end of the day, your business will end up failing. So it's critical for you to really take time out. I know it's hard to do that, not just as entrepreneurs, even for those of us who are employed. But at the end of the day, it's really important to remind ourselves that your health comes first, and only then can you be able to deliver at a great level.
Gosh, yeah, such great answers on that. It really is all about balance, isn't it? And it can be quite tricky to know where that balance is in terms of work and everything else. So, yes. And to Sam, this is a question for you from the audience. What has been your biggest barrier to scale? Has Sam frozen on us? We'll see if we can get him back.
Well, we're trying to get him. I could possibly chime in on that because I do work with quite a lot of startups. I think one of the key barriers to scale is actually product. If you don't have a product that can be able to scale, it's really, really tough. And so as an entrepreneur, really being almost singular-minded in terms of how does your product solve a scalable problem, and then do you have the systems that can be able to actually take care of the product and get that product to market. Whether that is your cloud servers, whether that is the equipment and the tech that you have, especially now that we're talking about the engineering side, it's really critical to make sure that those are foundational elements. And then the second piece is what you do with your customer and listening to your customer. Because at the end of the day, you could have the perfect product, but if it's not solving a problem that a customer needs, then you will consistently hit that challenge in terms of scalability. But the other piece of advice I would say, and I think Sam touched on this, is the notion of really testing and iterating. I know a company called Pezesha here in Kenya that started off as a peer-to-peer lending platform. And very quickly, it has actually pivoted to become an SMB marketplace for funding, right? And so that is almost a 180-degree turnaround, but it's become really scalable and is now across multiple countries, from Ghana to Zambia to Kenya, etc. So that would be my inputs. I don't know if Sam is back.
I'm not sure we still have Sam back with us. So this is a question for Sarah. How do we tackle the perception issue that many African entrepreneurs face from their own communities and customers that European or Asian solutions are better, more reliable or cheaper than African developed ones?
Wow, that's a very, very challenging question, but I think it's a really good one. I think we definitely have this scenario in Africa where we sometimes get the copycat businesses, but it's important to note that this happens all over the world, right? And I think locally, we really, in these African countries, we've really seen the development of tools that work really well in African markets, but haven't really worked super well elsewhere necessarily. So like M-Pesa is a very good example of this, which was an African solution to an African problem. And I think as an entrepreneur to focus on that, and I think Charles talked a lot about this, right? A human problem with a human solution that's focused on Africa. This is where we're seeing the biggest growth for businesses, not necessarily just taking what European solutions have come up with and plopping them into African markets. So I think that is once we keep seeing this more, we start seeing more exits in Africa of these types of products, we'll definitely gain more confidence in those solutions.
And Sam, it's good to have you back. Same question to you. I don't know if you heard it. Would you like me to repeat it?
Yeah, sure. Can you repeat it?
It's how do we tackle the perception issue that many African entrepreneurs face from their own communities and customers that European or Asian solutions are better, more reliable or cheaper than Africa developed ones?
I think that's an egg and chicken problem. So one is, it's one that obviously with education and having more entrepreneurs, African local entrepreneurs doing, what they have largely been seeing done by other people. They see the locals doing it and, doing it well. So number one, that gets rid of that bias, but also exposure. I feel, us being, again, among the first crop of entrepreneurs in this space, most of the locals or most of the Africans haven't seen other people doing it and learn from them and, change their mindset around that. So it's one whereby with continued persistence and the locals doing it, will have a change of that mindset.
Absolutely. And Charles, final thoughts on this?
I was going to say, I think as people start seeing African companies scale at a mind-boggling rate, let's take a company like Twiga or other companies in South Africa who have actually been bought out by either US companies, etc. Stripe bought Paystack in Nigeria. when we start seeing this, we start realizing that the ideas are actually democratic. They're here in Africa, and the talent is also here. And all we need to do is continuously continue innovating, continue nurturing it, and continue scaling those businesses. And at the end of the day, when we think about where the innovation is in Africa today, Israel, which is known as a startup nation, was there a while back. And now when we think about some of the best innovations, they actually come out of Israel. Some of the best research centers are actually out of Israel. And we're starting to see the same here on the continent. Google has a research center in Ghana where we are not only creating or solving for African solutions, but we're solving for Africa, for global solutions. You have innovation centers here in Kenya. You have innovation centers in South Africa. So as we continue creating companies that can scale, that can solve those human problems I know I mentioned earlier, it does not matter where they come from, as long as it's creating a really good value for the end consumer. Thank you.
Oh, what a brilliant note to end on. So inspiring, and thank you all so much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we've got for our fireside chat. That half an hour went so quickly. Thank you so much to all of you there. You're so incredible. Your answers were wonderful, and thank you for joining us today. And now we'll move on to the one to watch pitches. All audience votes have now been counted, and we're delighted to reveal that the winner is Yusuf Bile Sanmi from Nigeria, who has been voted as the one to watch. Huge congratulations, Yusuf. Well done. And now the judges have also finished deliberating, and we've counted all of your votes, and we're ready for the announcement of the 2021 Africa Prize winner. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Emma Wade-Smith, Her Majesty's Trade Commissioner to Africa and Africa Prize judge. Over to you, Emma.
Thank you very much, Sheeny. This is my first year as a judge for the Africa Prize, and I have to say it has been both an eye-opening experience and a source of immense inspiration to be part of such a professional and impactful initiative. Now, we heard from our head judge, Malcolm, right at the start of today's event, that the standard of participants for this year's cohort has given us judges a real challenge this year. No different to previous years, but certainly very challenging indeed. And I can confirm that it has been even tougher to choose between our shortlisted finalists. Our deliberations behind the scenes have been a little bit tricky because of the high quality of all of our finalists. And just as a reminder, the winner today receives £25,000, and our other three finalists each receive £10,000. And so the winning prize of £25,000 goes to someone whose idea can improve the lives and livelihoods of millions of people across Africa and beyond, with an innovation that goes to the heart of one of the key sectors in Africa's economies. And it also promises to have a positive impact on our environment as well. And so, without further ado, I am absolutely delighted to introduce this year's winner of the Royal Academy of Engineering's Africa Prize. On behalf of all the judges, congratulations to Nolan Gesson of Quebeco for being this year's winner of the Africa Prize.
Thank you very much.
Noel,
amazing.
many congratulations. Please, the floor is yours to say a few words about what this prize means to you.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. I found the finalists quite amazing. I enjoyed watching the other pitches as well. And it means a lot. It means a lot. I mean, I'm an engineer. This is the Royal Engineering Academy, so it means a lot in that sense, you know. And I have to say, I also appreciated the professionalism of the entire program, like the emphasis on actually adding value to our businesses. So to come at the end of it as the quote unquote winner means a lot, because it was hard work, and yeah, I'm very happy. All my team, even though it is a bit of a personal orientated prize, but it is a prize of my whole team. We have 5 engineers at Dono if we have to focus on the engineers, but we also have non-engineers, and this goes to everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Wonderful, Noel. Thank you. Great stuff. And congratulations again from all of us on the judging panel. And of course, a heartfelt well done to all of our finalists. And now back over to you, Sheeny.
Thank you, Emma. Well done, Noel, and well done to all of you, because you've just been so incredibly inspiring this afternoon. And before we do end this afternoon, I'd like to thank all 4 finalists who have done such an excellent job, the shortlist and our Africa Prize judges. It's really been so inspiring to hear about your ingenuity, and you really are all winners to me. So, as the event draws to a close, we'll soon be moving on to our closing remarks. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope, like me, that you've really enjoyed this real celebration of engineering. In the chat box below, you'll see a link to a feedback survey on what you thought about this year's Africa Prize final. This survey will just take 2 minutes of your time to complete, and any feedback will be hugely appreciated for the Academy to continue improving its events. Also, if you want to learn more about the 2021 Africa Prize entrepreneurs, you can explore this online platform that we're in right now, which will be open until the 26th of July. It's a great showcase to connect with the entrepreneurs themselves and to see more videos and photos of their innovations and businesses. You can also find out how to apply for the Africa Prize yourself, so that next year it could be you pitching in front of our judges. Just visit the About Us page for more information. Finally, we're delighted to have with us this evening MP James Duddridge, Minister for Africa, who will officially close this event. The Minister has previously served as Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State at the Department for Exiting the European Union, Chairman on the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Africa, and as Government Whip. Thank you, Minister.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you to the Royal Academy of Engineering for inviting me to provide the closing remarks at this Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation Final 2021. It's my pleasure to do so because, as the UK's Minister for Africa, I'm constantly in touch with the ways in which science and technology and innovation are offering new opportunities for social and economic development on the continent to achieve climate change targets and to grow back better. As the UK's Minister for Africa, you might expect me to enthuse about the continent and the great relationships we have with so many African countries. But for me, that's not just part of the job description, it's deeply personal. I worked in Africa as a banker for 10 years in Côte d'Ivoire, Botswana, Eswatini. I met my wife in Emma Bunn. Africa means a lot more to me than just a job, and I want us to move onwards and upwards together, the UK and the African continent. I'd like to congratulate all the participants in the African Prize this year, and of course, particularly the finalists, runners-up, and the winners for their extraordinary efforts and commitment to applying engineering innovation to tackling the challenges and opportunities we face today. As African countries seek to cope with and recover from the impacts of the COVID pandemic, engineering innovation is central to our shared ambition to build back better. Whether that's in green energy technologies, new digital platforms, healthcare technologies, climate resilience infrastructure, or indeed the cold chains needed to deliver the vaccinations which are so critical to finally ending this terrible pandemic. The Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary are both fully committed to the UK playing an active and leading role internationally on science and technology and partnering in Africa to help find solutions to the challenges we face together. This is why I'm so pleased that UK Aid has been able to support this award, which I understand is Africa's biggest prize dedicated to engineering innovation. By supporting ambitious African innovators, developing scalable engineering solutions to local challenges, it is an investment in the future for Africa. The list of technologies and proposals is fascinating, and I'm sure that this has made the work very difficult for the judges. But I was particularly pleased to see 6 women amongst the 16 finalists working in STEM sectors. To take technologies and business ideas from the drawing board to delivering impact at scale is no small task, and the challenges are plenty. But that's exactly what these finalists have done. This is what this prize is for. And I sincerely hope that UK Aid's support and the assistance of the Royal Academy of Engineering's training and mentorship have helped you all bring you closer to your dreams and bring your dreams closer to reality. Your efforts are also an inspiration to us, to all of us, and to millions across Africa. I'd just like to close by congratulating again all the participants, finalists and winners of this year's Africa Prize for Engineering Innovation, and wish you all the greatest success in taking forward your ideas. And thank you finally to the Royal Academy of Engineering for their delivery of this prize and for their commitment to building further partnership in engineering innovation between the UK and Africa.